Hey, board gamers, PJ for Game Gumbo here, back in the Gumbo pot. This time taking a look at a brand new game that's coming out on Gamefound from designer Jonny Pac. It's Coloma New Prospects. It's an expansion. It's all about the Wild West. It's about building out your town, looking for gold, and defeating those outlaws. Let's take a look inside the box. These are prototype components, but let's take a look inside the box and see what you can expect from this campaign and whether this expansion is a good fit for you. Oh, I'm excited about Coloma New Prospects. Two things to know right off the bat. The rivers are gone. Sad, right? Yeah. But they've added waterfalls. Yay. Yeah. So that's one of the new components that you're going to find in New Prospects. So what is Coloma and what is New Prospects? Coloma you should know about. You've heard us talk about it. You've heard lots of other content creators talk about it. It's one of Jonny Pac's first games. Started out as Hangtown, came back as Coloma, Final Frontier, published it a couple of years ago. We reviewed it in the Gumbo. We loved it. We just had a prototype copy that we had to send on through Punchboard Media. But this time, Final Frontier were gracious enough to send us a copy of the actual game of Coloma. And we've been playing it. We played it 3 or 4 times just in the last week or two, just to get back into the mechanics to get ready for this New Prospects. So the game is one of the most interactive worker placement Euro style games you're going to see. I mean, there is just interaction at every turn. And that's because you've got to kind of bid on the action you want to take. And if other people tie you in strength on that action, in other words, 2 or 3 people all put on that same action, then the action busts. That means you don't get as strong of an action as you would if you were one of the only people that had gone to the action. Since there's only 5 actions to take, that creates some real tension in when you've got 4 or 5 players trying to figure out what are we going to do, what actions are we going to take. And so that's one of the juicy, delicious decisions that you have to make just about every round, and just a lot of fun. So it's very thematic also. A lot of the stuff that you're doing, you're going for gold or you're exploring out in the wilderness, or at the end of every round, you're getting ready for the shootout. And it just feels, it feels, especially with the art from the Micho, you feel like you're in this Wild West town around 1848 or 1849 when gold was discovered out in California. So what are they adding in the New Prospects? And that's what I'm excited about. There's a bunch of things that they're adding in there. Let's go over the 6 new things that they're going to be doing. So number 1, you'll be excited to know there's some new player decks. So in the base game, you've got the 16 cards that each player uses, and that's their hand, and they're going to play those cards, kind of building out your town as you go. That creates some bonuses whenever those actions happen during the game. So that was an important part. And besides that, you also get points when you build those out. This has 20 cards instead, and these 20 cards are going to replace the old deck that you had. So it's going to incorporate some of the mechanics that come out into New Prospects. It also makes it a little bit harder by strategy, I think. A little bit harder to get to that 0 card in your hand. And the reason that is the 0 cards in your deck. Whenever you have an opportunity to draw cards, if you can't draw any cards from the deck, and remember you start with 16 and you're going to draw a few, and I think you start with 4, but in the base game, it was not that hard to get rid of all of the cards in your deck. And when you do that and you need to draw another card, you got another point. You got a point every time you need to draw a card. So 20 cards is going to make it a little bit more difficult to spam those card draws and get to the bottom of your deck. Next thing, the Barker tile has been replaced. Now, the prototype version that we had an error on it. So I'm going to show you a picture of what that Barker tile looks like. And as you can see, it's a little bit different now. The signpost is gone. And instead, you have the barrel action that's going to happen. But Buster's back. Buster comes on the board, and he's on the board all the time. He's always in the space ahead of where the Barker tile points. So what does that mean? That means if you struggled with busting before, you're going to bust even more. You really have to think about it because already the action dial is seated with one more player, that non-player called Buster. So that's going to cause things to bust a lot. But that's okay also because this game's all about busting. So New Prospects creates a track, you might say, between the waterfall tiles and also the cards that you're going to play that actually give you lots of bonuses for busting. So when you bust, if you're part of that bust action, what happens then is if you have waterfalls out and you have some cards out, you get to move your marker that you place on each one of those things one space. And as you're moving down that track, you're getting bonuses, you're spending some resources like dudes. You might, there's a couple other spots to put some dead dudes in there, but also trying to get to the end of the tracks on those waterfalls, because that's the way to score some in-game scoring. So it's do I really want to get the strong action here, or do I want to combo those actions and then take the bust? And and when you do that, build out that combo that you've been working on. It's also a couple of little small additions to it. There's some Boomtown tiles. I personally enjoy exploring the frontier. The frontier had lots of stuff. You can go on a trip to get a lot more dudes, or to get some gold resources, or get some cards. This changes things a little bit. It puts out Boomtown tiles, and so it's kind of a race to get to that tile first, because if you get to that tile first, you get the better choice of what you're going to get, and then it flips over and everybody else gets kind of the backside. So that's and there's less ways to get people there whenever you go into the Boomtown. So it's kind of a little more strategic decisions that you have to make as you race around the frontier. And last but not least, you have the shootout tiles. Shootout tiles, if you remember right, there were 2 or 3 tiles that you'd place on the board and you'd remove them, and it would chronicle you going through the 3 years leading up to the boom with the discovery of gold and thereafter. This creates actually a simpler system. There's more tiles, but the tiles are double-sided. And remember, the shootout tile is all about the outlaws that you're going to put out for the shootout, but it also has to do with the bonuses for if you defeat the outlaws, what kind of things you're going to get, or if you lose to the outlaws, what kind of penalties you might get. So they've got some additional ones that work with the busting and work with the new mechanics in the game, and also they're double-sided, so you don't have to switch tiles. Just put a tile there, flip it over for the next year, and then take it off and take the base action with the third one. All right, so that's the New Prospects expansion for Coloma that's out on Gamefound pretty soon from Final Frontier and designer Jonny Pac. Look, it's got beautiful art from the Micho. It's got better, bigger Euro-y kind of strategy that comes in with this game. It's kind of a deeper experience. Coloma was fast playing, relatively light. There's nothing in there that was very hard. Fast playing, fast moving, lots of interaction. This one's going to give you a little bit more thinking and a little bit more long-term planning. And it also increases the likelihood that you're going to be busting during the game and giving you ways to combo even more benefits off of those busting. So if you like that part of the game, if you like the interaction and you like planning out some nice little combos, there's just no reason not to check out the New Prospects expansion on Gamefound when it hits the project level there. I want to thank Final Frontier for sending us this prototype copy and for sending us Coloma. You can check out our playthrough of Coloma right here on our YouTube page, youtube.com/BoardGameGumbo. We're also going to try to get a play-in of New Prospects during the campaign to make sure people can get a chance to see how the game works. And also check us out on Twitch Tuesdays. Every Tuesday night, we play your games on Twitch right here in the Gumbo Pod. If you have a suggestion, hit us up, post something in the comments as to a game you'd like to see. Until next time, it's BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Laissez, temps, rouler.